to be in fact very well covered, and I would say three critical things that you brought out. The way you are addressing the entire challenge was very interesting to hear. First was the way you are identifying the risks and mitigating them, very important and that's what you have exhibited success already on that. And the second was what you said about some availability of concessional financing. Again, very important for all of us to come across with, and how you are also doing a lot of capacity building alongside. And two ideas that you have floated, both I think will be everyone would be very interested to know more, and at NCP we would like to support every effort in all kind of engagements in that, in the interest of our members and generally building the entire renewable energy space, the build and flip model, and also the payment security fund. I think this is going to change furthermore. I think people should understand that coming in of this itself will be another comfort to the entire system, specifically related to renewable financing. Please join me in welcoming him for this presentation that he will have. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you, Sanjeev. Now, my session actually in the presentation I'll cover only three things. One is what's the present status of this and how we are moving. The second one is what are the instruments what we have in this country, and then how we are doing in the financing of these renewable energy, especially now solar is coming in a big way. And third is how new innovative other instruments can come in. So IFCL as an institution and as a group, we have three institutions. One is the main one in Delhi, which is the $8 billion balance sheet, and then one in UK, which we take care about the forex. We have IDF, which we take for innovative structured finance, and we have an advisory company, IFCL Projects, where we do the advisory for the government and the corporates. Now, if you look at it, the basic thing which I would like to mention is just to take the background. Now, it's a boom. Now, solar is going to be a boom. Wind we thought, but now solar is taking over. Just to give an analogy of the industry, how it pans out, because being from the infrastructure, telecom has boomed like this. But there are so many good policies which were there, NTP 94, 99, 2012. 94 is a bad policy, which was completely red, and then 99 has come. That's it, how the telecom has boomed. From 16 rupees 40 paisa, which used to be per minute, today is at 40 paisa, 30 paisa, you can make a call anywhere in the world. That's and nowhere in the world it happens, only in India. So that's how we have almost 882 million people who are having with 88% tele density. Nowhere in the world we have. We are the second biggest in the world. Now, these policies are so good policy papers which we got. Now, similar thing have you seen in power sector? No. Never. That's where exactly the power sector is stuck in various this one, because state subject and central subject. Now, having said that, still despite all that, we have reached to around 329,000 megawatts in this country. That's fine. But are we adding it proportionately? Big question mark. We are sometimes going up in wind, sometimes we are going up in hydro. Now, hydro is coming down, but we have enough of potential. Similarly, wind is doing it, but class 1, class 2, class 1 are over, sites are over. Whether these PLFs are tenable. Similarly, solar is picking up. That's all said. So 17% is the total in the power we have the solar, renewable energy. Definitely, this government is having a lot of initiative to make solar as a big one. Yes, definitely we should make it, because we have enough of sunshine, which no other country is having it. So we have renewable capacity of around 57.26 gigawatts. So it's a good one, 17%, 18% of the total power. Wind and solar is around 12.28. Now this is rapidly going up, and then everyone's estimations are 275 gigawatts to 825 gigawatts. What Terry has said or whatever it is. Feasible, technically feasible. Commercially, financially, is it feasible? Is a big question mark. So now, even if the present situation in which we are moving, we require roughly around $190 billion in this sector itself, and predominantly $100 billion is required only in solar. If you go in the next 5 to 7 years. Now, whether there is that money, banks can do it. Commercial banks are not supposed to be in this business, because long-term funds are not available with them. So you require different solutions for this. Now we have to attract investors, both domestic and international. Yes, it can come, but your product should be good, then only they will come in, right? Now having said this, I would like to caution one thing. Whichever we are doing it, before I go into the other areas of the various instruments which I am going to talk, whether it is a developer, whether it's a banker, whether it's an investment banker, whether it's an equity player, anyone, project appraiser, if you do it, mess it up, I'll tell you the cost or the finance will go for a hayway. That's what exactly happens in most of the things. That's one part. Second part, even when we do the bidding, in road sector we are saying undercutting, we see how many NPS are there. Similarly, you see in telecom, now one is bleeding the other one. But policies are very good. Price discovery happened in the market. Definitely, they have a good EBITDA. Telecoms are sustaining with such a valuation, even today, in India, nowhere in the world, at 25 to 30% EBITDA. Earlier, it used to be 45 to 50% EBITDA. But competition has grown up, good, healthy one. Citizen is benefited, everyone is, no cry is there by any one of us when we use the mobile. Now, similar things are required in solar. Now, one more important thing I want to tell you about the caution about the renewable energy. Technically, you have fossil fuel also on the grid. Same grid you are now giving the solar energy or the wind. I am sure most of the technical people should analyze it. What kind of grid stability will be there after 2020? You may have supply, but you may have blackouts. I don't know. It will have impact on the cash flow. That's my personal feeling. So one should be very clearly see, because earlier 5 megawatts, 10 megawatts, 25 megawatts solar used to get, it's a peanut in such a big grid. It will not imbalance the grid. Now today I am attaching 500, 250, 500, 1000. Now if I switch on and off, the duty cycle of solar or the wind is 8 hours. That is one third. Whereas base case it is fossil fuel, they run the 24/7. So the cost what we are having in the technological developments, what we are doing is without storage. See, whether it's a hydro with a storage or a thermal which is there, they can take the loads. I'm talking something, nothing to do with the finance, but the point is, now we have to think about new methods about renewable energy with storage, then this grid will be stable and then you will not have blackouts. Today without storage we are doing all this. So this is one thing for thought for the audience, and then you can think about it. Now I will not go much into that. Now let's go into this one. Now banks are giving the finance, but that's not sufficient at all. And in fact they have the alien problems, asset liability mismatches. So they give and then they'll say, I cannot do it, and then they may go away. So you have to have different instruments. So financial institutions like IIFCL and then other NBFCs, they may be able to take up this particular one, and specialized institutions. So here I'll be covering the credit enhancement is one, infra debt fund, infrastructure investment trust, securitization and green bonds. Now credit enhancement, infrastructure debt funds already in operation, and green bonds are already there, but infrastructure investment trust and securitization one has to look into it. So this is the credit enhancement what we do, and then we try to channelize the insurance companies funds, the pension funds and commercial banks funds. What we do is we take any project which is having BBB in nature and then give the credit enhancement with our balance sheet of IIFCL and then increase it to AA or AA plus, so that the bonds can be issued by that company and then these investors come. And we have done two projects. One is Hindustan Power, which we have done it. Another one is Renew Power. Around 600 crores worth of bonds they have got it raised, and they are doing very well. And they got a price differential of roughly 100 to 150 basis points than what they are having from the banks. So these are the advantage of credit enhancement is so that the banks are completely deleveraged, so that the exposures have come down from the bank and it has come on to the bond holders and to the IIFCL. IIFCL is giving the guarantee, so that takes the first loss guarantee. And it develops the bond market also. Similarly, we started IDS also. We have $100 million IDS which we are running up, and we do for every infra project, but we are doing one of the solar wind we have done it. Now going forward, this is one of the funds which is taken off only 3 years back. Now we are running it and it's doing very well. Now, advantages is, yes, we can do structured products. We can do at the quasi debt as well as the structured one. So that at the holding company level, we need not, promoter need not sell off his equity. He can still borrow it at a higher rate, less than what the equity cost it will be. And then he can increase the value, and then afterwards he can divest it to say at a higher valuation. So we come in as a mesh financier. And now, shortly we are going to raise alternate investment fund, which we are going to do it exclusively for green. This will be our third fund, which we are going to do. First two funds are right now we are having. Third one, we are launching alternate investment fund by IFL Ideas. The other one is infrastructure investment trust, but this is good for the developers than the financiers. And recently it has been done in the road sector, the IRB, and then they were successfully raised 5,000 crores. Sterlite is doing it right now. That's already open in the market. So they are doing it well. I think going forward, if someone is having more solar assets, they are renewable assets, they can pool it and then they can go for a investment trust, so that you can channelize and get a lot of money from the public as well as from the other institutional HNIs and FIs and foreign portfolio investors. The other one which is happening, which may come, still it has not come into infrastructure sector, but it is in credit cards, then in realty sector as well as in car, automobile. The securitization is happening and the pool will be there instead of individual one, the pool will be there, and then for that the bonds will be issued or a promissory notes will be issued or the pass-through certificates, and then you can get more money out of it and the banks can deleverage. So this is another one which come, but still it has not been tried in infrastructure. Someone is trying to do, one of the financial institutions is trying to do in this particular one, but it will take some time. Then similarly coming to the green bonds, yes, today already green bonds we are there around the $82 billion internationally. In India it is almost $2.7 billion we have raised, and NTPC, Yes Bank, World Bank and others have raised. But caution is, green bonds, if you do it in dollar terms, will be using the Reg S, again you will be having. Green masala bonds, if you raise it, then you will not have the risk of forex. So one should be very careful about raising this. I don't know the bids which have come recently at 2.44 or whatever it may be, which type of a financing instruments have been done or not. It's a big question that one has to look into it very carefully before actually when how they are going to finance that. Until unless that clarity is not there, I think we don't know how the risks have to be mitigated in this particular one from the financial and financing point of view. So conclusion is, yes, it's going on, new innovative instruments are required. Care should be taken to ensure operational parameter. What I mean to say here, this particular point is very important. One more entity is there, which is intermediary, which is the insurance risk of either for the PLF or for the wind or for anything. There are certain ones. So these insurance companies give specialized, not that normal insurance what you take for plant and machinery. This is for a particular parameter. For example, now solar will have degradations around the sun. What is the guarantee that if it goes below? So that particular one they can guarantee you, and then the premium you can add into a pricing, so that if it goes down, still you will be covered by that risk. Similarly, wind pattern, you think that it may take it at a 21% PLF and then with the wind speed. By chance if the wind pattern goes down, and then that can be covered. So this special instance risk of the parameter, there are people in the market they can be doing. In foreign countries they do it. So we should also start looking into it and price it into your this was so that the real tariff will come out of this place. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Share how we can get the benefit of that.
Thank you, Sanjeev, and good afternoon to all of the delegates and distinguished participants. Export-Import Bank of India is a specialized development financial institutions and totally government-owned organizations. We have actually, I would like to just, in very brief, I would like to introduce Exim Bank. We have 8 overseas offices across the globe and 9 domestic offices. In all big cities, in state capitals. As Sanjeev has already mentioned, we are working in 3 major verticals in our organization. One is corporate banking, which will provide the finance to export-oriented units for their domestic expansion, for establishment of greenfield, brownfield projects, or for their overseas investment in terms of their acquisition overseas, or try to establish some facility overseas. Next, our flagship vertical is project finance, in which we actually help the exporters to, in terms of buyer's credit, supplier's credit, and all other, pre from post shipment, the routine things, sort of things, to help the exporters to export their projects. The third flagship program of Exim Bank is line of credits, in which lines of the credit will be given, or has already been in the process of giving to the sovereign governments, central banks, and the development financial institutions. With this very short and brief introduction of Exim Bank, I would like to just have very brief the industry, actually the solar industry and the non-renewable energy industry. Actually, this renewable energy sector in India has emerged as a significant player in terms of the grid connected capacity. The total installed capacity has reached to 310 gigawatt, with a actually the mix is somewhat skewed in terms of thermal, which is 69% as of now, but it is slowly picking up in favor of renewable, which is as of now is 14.8%. Again, we have the renewable energy potential of around 852 gigawatt across India, which is actually, the 102 gigawatt contributes to be contributed by the potential is there from wind side, and 750 is from the solar power. One more thing actually I would like to mention, that India, most part of the country in India has about 300 days of sunshine, and the average solar radiation incident over the land is in the range of 4 to 7 kilowatt per day. This makes this industry very lucrative in terms of the going forward. Now I'll straight away come to the Exim Bank. Now Exim Bank, we cover solar projects as under import finance. Basically, we provide the finance to the import also. So we are covering these projects under import finance. In Exim Bank, we actually have export orientation should be there from the corporates. So the minimum export orientation that has to be required from the corporate is around 10%. If at all it is not there, then we cover our financing under the import finance. So majority of the solar projects are covering under the import finance only. As on date, we have already have exposure of around 50 corporates with exposure of around more than 2,000 crores. Actually, in the past, 2010 and 2013, we got 2 lines from the European Investment Bank to promote and part finance the renewable energy projects in India, and for the on-lending. These line of credits as of now is totally exhausted, but it was at one point of time was a innovation, because actually in that, with the virtue of that line, we provided the foreign currency to our domestic users, corporates, so that the cost comparison will be in a much better manner, because if at all they avail the finance in INR and in the foreign currency, for which actually, as we know, 60 to 70% is still imports, because of the modules are imported one. So they are getting the niche out of that thing. This facility was for renewable energy, solar, wind, geothermal, biomass, and again energy efficient cogeneration, with a focus to project on environmental impact. As of now, actually, we have under this line, we have given around 300 million were deployed in 38 Indian companies. Exim Bank has successfully last year, April 2006, launched Reg S green bond of around 500 million. This was actually the first USD denominated green bond offering out of India. It was the first benchmark size green bond out of the Asia in 2015-16, and the third ever green bond issuance out of the Asia. It was successful, very successful, and subscribed of around 3.2 times of the issue size, with a strong demand across 140 participants, significant participation from the green investors and real money accounts. It was upsized. Earlier it was thought of 250 million, and then it was upsized up to 500 million. Exim Bank has used the net proceeds of this bond to fund eligible green projects in the countries including India, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. The green project includes under this bond in which actually Exim Bank has deployed the money. This will include renewable energy, sustainable waste management, sustainable land use, forestry, biodiversity conservation, clean transportation, clean water. Not only, the solar is covered under this thing, green bond has covered the entire thing. Now to, take the clue from Mr. Rao forward, actually there is a little doubt that the rising sense of environmentalism in the people now, as they are more conscious about the different kind of environment hazards that they could view in future. This has this will ultimately lead to the cost savings and shift towards the sustainable living. The green power has now assumed a center stage as a way to continue progress to the clean technology. And I would like to float, taking this forward from Mr. Rao also, and what he has mentioned in that in terms of the ALM mismatches, long-term finance and the volume. In fact, in the next 6 years to achieve the estimated targets of Government of India, we will need 140 billions of the investment in next 6 years. To float, there are some offerings of the Green Bank also is in the offering, so that some green bank can be established which can leverage limited capital cost and risk unlocking broader private investment into the country to take the matter forward and to achieve our designated targets in terms of the clean energy and clean India in future. Thank you.